Looking, going to throw one deep down the right sideline. Intended for deep. Catches it in strong.
Throwing middle is caught. Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's gone, baby. 10-5, end zone, touchdown, Detroit Lions.
I'll be cruising in my lane fast,
inside the 35-yard line of the Bengals.
I've been working nightly. If you think you'll win, not fucking likely. I've been taking shots, yeah, cold-blooded, icy. Watching numbers grow is what I call.
He's gonna throw, ball's caught. JSN near side.
When they hype me, the following grows. They know
first time in NFL history a team's been 5-5 with that scenario. Here's the pass over to Hunt.
Best rushing offense in the NFL goes to play.
Turning losses into gains, I'm the boss making change. I've been rocking this exchange. Popping off and risking things, gonna make a fucking name.
Into the end zone, Devontae Adams with the
I don't want that
touchdown.
cheap fame, no I'm not that vain. I just wanna be greatness.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Football Friday. I'm Daniel, alongside with me as always, Nathan. Nathan, how you doing, my man?
We're not too bad. Can you hear me okay?
I hear you loud and clear, my man. How's it going?
All right, not too bad. I wasn't sure if I was lagging out or anything like that. Weather's kind of gonna start going down the pot here soon. But not too bad, man. It's freezing cold out here, so we're just gonna be, I think, just camping out for the weekend, bro.
I hear you, man. I hear you. It's gonna be pretty cold out here as well. I think we're supposed to freeze for like 3 days. I don't think it's gonna stay freezing like throughout the entire time, but it's supposed to dip into the freezing temperatures for 3 days straight. And everybody's losing their minds out here in Texas. And so
I bet. Make sure you're gonna be getting to the store here soon.
yeah, exactly. I'm a little bit late, but that's what's gonna happen. So a lot of stuff has happened since the last time we spoke. The last time we spoke, the Steelers were still in it and no longer there, and also no longer have their head coach.
Yeah, lots happened, man.
Pretty crazy stuff. And now there's been a lot of other movements here recently, and I kind of wanted to get your opinion on this. So a lot of head coaching vacancies, and that's where we'll start off today's show. Head coaching vacancies. A lot of head coaching vacancies. One puzzling move that happened today: Buffalo Bills interview Phillip Rivers.
Yeah,
his head coaching experience is as a high school football head coach. What kind of move does that say? And if you are Josh Allen, what are you thinking about that as potentially being coached by Phillip Rivers? He was a finalist in the Hall of Fame as a player. He had a prolific career. Can you transition that to a head coaching position in the NFL?
that's to be determined because he's had no coaching experience in the league. But it's interesting because of him. Like, he just came back at 44 years old, played 3 games. Actually, hey, still showed. I mean, he can toss it around a little bit. So it's interesting that they interviewed him. They're the first team to do so. Josh Allen learning different things from Phillip Rivers could be beneficial, having something like that. I know Buffalo said that they're going to really prioritize Josh Allen in their coaching search and really kind of get him comfortable into that till whenever they find somebody. I know that I think they've done a couple other interviews so far. They have some others coming up, but I'm not going to lie. I actually would like to see it. I know he has no coaching experience. I know that it's kind of giving Jeff Saturday vibes, kind of somebody who has had no association from coaching in the NFL to somebody who's going to get a head coaching job. And if it does happen, you're going to hear the moaning and the bitching and everything like that. Oh, this guy hasn't coached. And you look at all these other guys that have been coaching and everything like that. If you kind of see a little something weird here, I know people are kind of seeing Everybody Loves Raymond in my background right there. So my green screen actually isn't up. So that's why you kind of see it, because it's a pain in the ass. But besides the point, I I would like to see it just for entertainment purposes to see how somebody like that would fare as a head coach, because it's very rare where you get somebody right off the bat who's had no glimpse of coaching experience in college or NFL get a head coaching job like that. Like, it never happens. So I actually would like to see it. I think it'd be entertaining and very interesting, moving on a guy like Sean McDermott, who's been successful, who's won a lot of games, but they just haven't been able to get over the hump. Obviously, a lot of controversy in terms of why he got canned. But overall, I actually think it'd be interesting to see. I'm not going to lie. As a fan,
I heard there's a petition going around in Buffalo to rehire Sean McDermott. I think the fan base wasn't ready to let go of their head coaches. For instance, the Pittsburgh Steelers fan base were. I thought this was hilarious, to be honest with you. You know, if it works out for him, I mean, he goes out there. I don't know, maybe he put on his resume that he's a full-time head coach with all the kids that he's raising. You know, he's got a football team there. I think he's got 10 kids plus a couple of grandkids there. So, you know, he's raising a football team. But overall, I thought it was like, wow, it just kind of screams a little bit of like not knowing where you want to go. Now, maybe perhaps they're using this to bring him in, and maybe perhaps they're going to give him a slightly less position of other than head coach, maybe passing game coordinator or something of that nature. Bring him in on the head coaching vibe. And, I mean, I don't know. I think it's a weird tactic one way or the other. I mean, if you're going to bring him in as a coach to be your passing game coordinator, bring him in for that. But
yeah,
we'll see.
It's definitely bizarre. Sean McDermott's done a lot of good things for Buffalo. Before him, they were one of those franchises where it was coach roulette. They couldn't figure it out. He was there nearly a decade. I think the whole presser with the GM and the president of the team was very weird, and it really seemed like that they were really pretty much blaming that it's the coaching staff's fault for their drafts. It's the coaching staff's fault for what happened to their game, why they lost the game, and not Josh Allen's, who had 4 turnovers, by the way. Or no accountability on the GM's end in terms of why they haven't been able to go further as a franchise.
Well, yeah, they threw the receiver under the bus. Coleman,
yeah, they did. Yeah.
Jeez,
if I was him, dude, I'd ask for a trade after that. What a joke.
Yeah, I would.
Or I'd ask to be released. What a joke that is.
And then a clip started to surface of the general manager excited that Coleman ran like a 4.5 because it'd be easier for them to get him.
Right.
And he's like, but he didn't want him. He wasn't the one that was.
Yeah, apparently not. Right. Yeah, it's the coaching staff's fault that's why that they drafted him. Right. It definitely makes you wonder too. Like, if you're somebody who's looking for a head coach opportunity and you're seeing stuff like that, is that a front office in its current state that you want to depend on and work under? Because to me, if you're a serious coaching candidate, I think that'd be a little concerning with the way they handled Sean McDermott.
I think it would be too.
Yeah, with the way they handled Sean McDermott and pretty much threw him and everybody under the bus, no accountability anywhere else. I think that's pretty concerning. So I understand Buffalo has the franchise quarterback. Buffalo has been a consistent playoff team the last 4 or 5 years. But if you're somebody who wants some time to get the organization to the next step, like, do you want to pretty much be looking over your shoulder all the time, walking on eggshells, working for an organization like that, where these guys are publicly coming out, throwing these guys like that under the bus? Or no? I wouldn't.
No, I agree.
I wouldn't.
I agree. And I think there's a certain window, right, that every team has. Now, every now and then you'll get the outlier where you have like a guy like Brady who has essentially 2 Hall of Fame careers and throughout his NFL career. He had 2 Hall of Fame careers in his NFL career. I think if you look at the first like 10 years of his career and the second 10 or something of that nature, it was like 2 Hall of Fame careers. Well, anyways, And that's the outlier. That's the exception, not the rule.
Mhm.
Everybody got a window. You look at some of these teams that didn't make the playoffs this year: the Baltimore Ravens, the Kansas City Chiefs. The Buffalo Bills at a certain point were looking pretty rough, and they were losing to some teams that were, I think, a lot of people would have thought that they would have won against, and you know maybe perhaps their window's closing too. Josh Allen didn't look like that stellar quarterback that could, carry the team on his shoulders like he had in several years in that last playoff game. Giving up the rock so many times, and
Mhm.
not just in that game, but throughout the season. The film catches up to everybody, in my opinion, too. Do you think that we're just seeing a change of the guard, so to speak, where some of these teams that have been at the top, been in contention year after year,
Mhm.
most of them find themselves out of the playoffs this year,
Mhm.
and Buffalo out, when they probably could have taken advantage of a scenario
Oh, for
where,
sure.
you didn't have to face Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson. And now,
Yeah.
I mean, imagine now, I mean, they would have gone up against, well, who did they lose to again? Did they lose to the Broncos?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what they thought. Yeah,
They would have
so
played New England.
there it is. So they would have. I mean, it still would have been a tough game,
Yeah.
either way. But yeah, they had an opportunity, in my opinion, and they squandered it. I mean, even in that game, I mean, although Bo Nix played the entire game, had a fractured bone
Yeah.
in his leg.
That's just brutal, man. Honestly,
Yeah, yeah,
genuinely brutal.
that whole situation is. I mean, I feel bad for Denver and their fan
Yeah,
base right
you
now.
have to. Yeah, for sure. You definitely have to. That could be something that we touch on here shortly. It was going to come to a point with Kansas City. We'll start with them. It was going to come to a point with them where they were going to start to slow down. They weren't going to be able to. Axeman, what's up? Thanks for coming in. Sherrick, how you doing too? Go Hawks. I agree. With the Chiefs, starting with them, it was going to come to a point they were going to slow down. Guys were going to start aging. Injuries were probably going to happen. Guys were going to move on. It was going to different guys you're bringing in as coaches not going to work out. It was going to come to that point. The Chiefs had their dynasty run. They had the best run that the NFL has seen since the Patriots. Doesn't mean that can't be something for them, that they can't kind of find themselves back into that at some point. But it was gonna come to a point. They were gonna slow down. It was gonna come to a point. Some of these other teams that have been in a stage of trying to build themselves up were going to arrive at some point. The same goes for the Baltimore Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens window started in 2019. Lamar won MVP. The Ravens were the best team in the league. They lost in the wild card round of the Titans. That was going to come to a point for them. They had a 6-year window. They were very disappointing this year. Doesn't mean they can't bounce back, but it again going to come to a point. They're not going to make the playoffs every single season of Lamar Jackson's career. The Buffalo Bills are probably not going to make the playoffs every single year of Josh Allen's career. This season was the season for Josh Allen to make a Super Bowl run, given the fact of him, all things considered, being viewed as the best quarterback in the playoffs, MVP, all his instances of falling short. And you don't have those quarterbacks or those teams in the playoffs right now.
Yeah.
But with that being said, you look at New England, you look at Jacksonville, you kind of look at what Houston did their last half of the season, and even Denver. These were basically all teams this year that were not viewed as anybody too serious. And going in, or at this point, you look at Jacksonville, first-year head coach. Trevor Lawrence seems like he's finally come into his own in his 5th season. Drake May coming into his own year 2, first-year head coach. You look at Denver, Sean Payton, Bo Nix, young quarterback, and Houston, the Houston Texans, arguably the best defense the NFL has seen in quite a while. So with that being said, it was going to come to a point where you had some of these other teams start to arrive, start to get there, start to be better than the Chiefs, who have been there, done that. The Ravens, who have had 6 years of opportunity and have not done a thing with it. the Buffalo Bills, who have had the last 4 or 5 years of opportunity and haven't done anything with it. It was going to get to a point these guys were going to start catching up. And it's going to come to a point where in the next year or two, some of these other teams are going to start catching up and some of these other teams are going to start dropping.
Yeah.
So that's on Baltimore and that's on the Bills for not accomplishing that. Cincinnati, they had another bad year. Joe Burrow's a great quarterback. They're going to try to build themselves up. But again, they have flawed coaching. They're a flawed organization. And that's what happens. So, but these teams, it was going to come to a point, there were going to be other teams in the AFC that were going to overtake these teams. And that's where we're at now. So I'm sure that they realize that. And it's probably why they're making some of these changes that they are. But that's just the reality of it.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. And there's some openings right now, and we'll get into that. And like we'll look at the teams that the teams that have NFL head coaching vacancies at this moment. You have, as we mentioned, the Bills. We got the Raiders next, the Steelers, the Browns, and the Cardinals are the teams that still have NFL head coaching vacancies. I believe that's it, right? Am I missing someone?
I think it's top of my head. I think you got it.
I think that's it, right?
I think there's 4 or 5.
Yeah, there's 5 that I just named off. So I'm pretty sure that's it. Which team, in your unbiased opinion, would you say is the team that, if you
Dolphins have hired their coach. They hired their coach a couple days ago.
Yeah. Yeah. Who'd they get?
They got Green Bay's defensive coordinator.
That's right. And then Saleh went to Tennessee, right?
Tennessee. Yep.
Yeah. And so there's been a lot of, and rightfully so. I mean, you want to get your head coach around this time or a little bit earlier, because right now the All-Star game, the East-West Shrine game, and their activities is happening right now. Mike Tomlin used to be a heavy influence and heavily involved in the Shrine game. And for the Steeler fans, it's a situation where, hey, it's not only do you not have a head coach, you don't have any coordinators. Andy Weidel, the assistant general manager, who, when you look at him and you look at Omar Khan being the financial guy, Andy Weidel being the talent scout portion of, the general manager duo that they were, him potentially getting a gig with the Atlanta Falcons. He went and interviewed with them. Could spell disaster for the Steelers and for any team that are starting so late, as far as like what they want to do, as far as what type of players that they want to grab, the identity of the football team that they want. But you look at the vacancies. Who do you think, in your unbiased opinion, taking the Steelers' hat off, which team is the best team in your opinion that has, like, if you were a head coach, which would be the most desirable position?
Right. Yeah, it's a great question. Afton, good to see you. I hope you're doing well.
Hey, Afton, how's it going?
Sherrick, we'll get to your question here in a moment. The most desirable, I think you still have to lean Buffalo, even though it's definitely questionable with the way the front office has gone about the situation with McDermott and their previous coaching staff. Mm-hmm. So given with Buffalo, you have your quarterback, you have the best offensive line in the NFL. The defense definitely needs some change, some rebuilding there. You had the leading rusher in the NFL, but you have no offensive weapons. That definitely was something that killed Josh Allen all season. They had arguably the worst wide receiver group in the league. Like, when you look at it, and there's quite a few, but Buffalo, I mean, my God, Khalil Shakur, Keon Coleman, Curtis Samuel, the list goes on. Brandon Cooks had a pretty good game.
Yeah.
But like, this is what you're doing, Brandon, and you're blaming Sean? Okay, give me a break. So those are the questions, if you're a head coach, I guarantee, that have to be something of concern. Yeah. Looking at the other teams, the Steelers are a desirable one just because of stability. You're going to get time and opportunity to build the roster and be a part of that the way that you want. You're going to be able to pick your own quarterback. not somebody who's already there. There's a lot of question in terms of roster build right now, and that's going to be something that's going to have to be part of the process. But I think if you're a coach, you kind of want to, I don't want to say start from scratch necessarily, but you want your hand on things with the roster. And the roster right now, as constructed, needs change for sure. I think every Steeler fan can agree with that. You obviously don't have a quarterback. You do not have an answer at that position right now. But it's going to give that coach the opportunity to be a part of finding that guy. And I think that's exciting for a young coach. I think knowing that you're going to have your job security for a while, and you know how the organization operates, they're loyal, they want to give you time, is definitely an attractive thing. You're going to have a lot of cap space to work with. You have 12 draft picks this season. So those are encouraging things. And I understand where people, Robert makes a good point right there. I understand the people out there that might kind of lean the other way. Oh, well, they don't have a franchise quarterback. Their coaching staff is depleted. TJ Watt's questionable. What happens with Cam? Those are all valid. But I think when you look at the end of the day, there is talent on this team to work with. And you can build this team within the next offseason, 1 to 2 off seasons, into a talented roster. I'm not saying the Steelers haven't had that. They have over the years, but you can kind of have your own print on it. And if I'm a young coach, that's attractive to me. Working for an organization that is stable, that is committed, that's going to give you time to develop a relationship with these guys. It's going to give you time to develop a roster where you have money to work with. That's exciting to me and attractive. And there might be some growing pains there, depending on the youth, depending on the quarterback situation. But it's something that I think should be encouraged, that it can be turned around sooner than later. The Browns are a dumpster fire. You've already had multiple coaches turn down their interviews. People don't want to deal with it. The organization's a disaster, always will be. There's a lot of lack of talent. Defensively, there's talent there, but Andrew Berry's a horrible GM. It's horrible ownership. Browns go through coaching like nonstop. It's ridiculous. It's coaching roulette. The Raiders, touching on the Raiders are paying 4 head coaches in the last 6 years. 4. Is that not a problem? That's a problem. And if you're a guy taking the job, that's going to be something that is definitely going to be hovering over your back. Am I going to be canned after 2 years where I've had nothing to work with, nothing to build? Now the Raiders have the first pick, but they're paying multiple coaches who they have fired. Again, instability. You look at the Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals are an unstable organization, and they have questions at quarterback. They have some young talent there offensively. They have some talent defensively as well, but they're an unstable organization. And when you have unstable organizations, there's a lack of patience. And that's why a lot of these organizations go through coaches like it's nothing, because they have lack of patience, because they can't develop. They can't build anything. They go through GMs, they go through coaches like it's crazy, because they can't take the time to actually build. And that's why they never have success.
You're not wrong, and to try to say, that's, I guess, the positives and the negatives there. For me, positive and negatives just kind of going through the teams really fast. For the Bills, you got the quarterback there, but as you mentioned, there's a lot that needs to be built around there, and you have a lot of concerns from, the upper management and staff. The Raiders, what looks good? You got some players. You got Brock Bowers. You got Ashton Genty.
Right.
You got some players even on the defense. I think Crosby's still going to be there for a little bit longer. He's getting up there, long in the tooth, but he's going to be there for a minute. So you got some players there. You do have the first pick in the draft, and so you're probably going to get, Mendoza. I think if they don't, that's probably going to be a huge mistake on their part. But hey, maybe they'll go out there and get like Klubnik or something, or Kubnik. I don't even know
God, that guy's not going to the third or fourth round.
Hey, the Raiders have been known to draft somebody in the first round that they shouldn't.
They do. Going into the college football season this past year, Klubnik was like the top quarterback projected.
Yeah.
And he was horrendous. He had a horrible year.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had a horrible year. So they're definitely going to take Mendoza, 1,000,000%.
Yeah, I think so.
Which is right.
The owner was out there, I think, at the national championship game, just kind of staring him down like he was going to take him out to eat or something. And so you got some things there going for you. You know, I'll wait to the Steelers to the end, but then the Browns. What do you got going for you there? You got Myles Garrett. That's about it.
He'll be 31.
He will be. I mean, you got a defense. The defense is pretty good.
They have a defense. They have the best defense coordinator in the league there. He's interviewed as well for the head coaching job.
He's probably going to get it.
But like again, if you're somebody interviewing for the Browns, like the track record, they're a horrible, one of the worst organizations in sports. They can never get it right. They can never have success. There's always issues. They cannot develop players, and it's on you, and you're canned after 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
Like that's just the reality of the gig, and that's why they just go through constant different changes at the coaching spot. So I guarantee who's going to take this job will be there 3-4 years and gone.
Yeah,
guarantee it.
And I mean, I think, and then for the Arizona, that becomes just as bad. I mean, not to the point where Cleveland has made some bad decisions with their quarterbacks, and they're paying Deshaun Watson and all this other stuff. They've had their fair share of being the Browns. The Cardinals, going in having the second overall pick, they're probably thinking they're going to get Dante Moore. They'll have the second quarterback there. Maybe even there was some talk there that Dante Moore might go first, but now Dante's going to stay in college another year.
Right.
And, I think it really dwindled down this
there's
quarterback class.
There's no one.
Everybody's gone. Everybody decided to go.
Everybody went back to school. Yeah. Everybody went back.
Now for the Steelers, for me, I think it is a desirable position. Is it the most desirable one? I don't know. I think you look at, for instance, the Buffalo Bills, because they have an answer at the quarterback position. If you're looking for an opportunity to take a team that's already somewhat has some answers at some key positions, like the most important one at the quarterback position, then yeah, it looks good. But what I think would attract a team here is that you would have total control. The entire coordinator staff has been released; they're gone. There's a possibility that Andy Weidl is going to be gone, and so if you're the head coach of the Steelers, you're probably going to have some say in who the general manager is. I know somebody had mentioned in the comment section that the Steelers have some scouts out there at the All-Star game, and they do. They got Dan Colbert and like 3 or 4 other folks there, but you're scouting different folks if your philosophy is a 3-4 or if you're trying to change it to a 4-3. Who knows what the philosophy is going to be of what the defense is going to be moving forward. And so now you're just looking at guys just to look at them at this point, and kind of getting your best bet forward. And I'm sure the Steelers have an idea of who their guy's going to be, and maybe perhaps they have some sort of insight on who they should be looking at and things of that nature. But if you're looking at the Steelers, you're going to think, all right, I have an opportunity to shape this team into the image that I want. They're not going to can you after a bad year or two.
Right.
And you have an opportunity that if Mike Tomlin wants to come out of, I don't want to say retirement, because I don't think he retired, out of his, vacation, it's gonna require some draft capital to do so, and maybe potentially put you in position for a good quarterback in next year's draft. So I think you look at that scenario and think to yourself, all right, then this is a good place, because you're going to have stability. You're going to be able to carry the guys that you want. You're going to be able to bring everybody that you want to bring, and really build a team in the direction that you want to go. And so I think that's one of the reasons why it makes it one of the more desirable places. Now we'll see who goes. I know a lot of people are thinking Shula. I personally, I know there's a Seahawks fan in the live chat. You may not want to hear this, but I would hope that they get Kubiak from Seattle there, the offensive coordinator. I'm all for an offensive-minded coach, but if they went out there and got Shula, I wouldn't fret about it. I think that would be a good choice.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Everything you said is on point. I think it's hard to dispute. I think Axman makes a good point there as well. They're not in bad shape. They have talent. It's gonna take some time this offseason because it's just a massive question mark with cap casualties, with cuts, trades. They have a lot of draft picks, whatever they decide to do. The Steelers, Daniel, they've interviewed a handful of people. I know you mentioned Clint Kubiak. Clint Kubiak has been somebody who has worked himself up the ranks as an offensive guy.
They interviewed Clay, his brother. They haven't interviewed Clint yet.
They did that. They have not requested Clint Kubiak yet. That could come. I'm not saying that can't. But when you look at who they've interviewed so far, if they were 100% sold on any of those guys, don't you think one would have been hired by now? 100%. That's it.
On the ones that are available? Oh yeah.
Everybody that they have brought in a personal face-to-face interview with. Weaver, McCarthy, who's the other guy? There's another guy. Flores, and they've had some virtual interviews with some people, but they have had face-to-face interviews with people. And I just feel like knowing that there's other teams out there that have contacted some of those guys, I just feel like personally, if that was their dude, they would have did it and not waited. Just my opinion.
I agree.
I genuinely believe they're waiting to do Chris Shula. And I believe they really like Nate Scheelhaase as well. Just based off what's been talked about, what's been reported on it. So I 100% think that they're waiting on that. I know that they've done virtual interviews with both guys, but I think that they're definitely waiting on that, and they definitely want to get them in the building 100%. And I'm hoping it's both of them. I'm hoping Shula's the guy, young, family ties, has done way more with the Rams defense than what was expected. They're the lowest paid defense in the NFL. He's been with Sean McVay. Sean McVay is a very reliable head coach who has had a lot of successful guys come out from underneath him. He has experienced Super Bowl runs. He has won a Super Bowl. And I think having a young guy who has already been involved in that, who's already has experienced that, is great. We don't need Mike McCarthy here. Now, if you want to bring somebody like that in as an assistant of some sorts offensively and get his mind in the building, that's totally fine. He should not be running the team. It's 2026. He should not be running the team. This isn't 2006. This isn't Tom Coughlin still coaching in the league. This isn't the NFL from 20 years ago. We don't need that in the building. We don't need that. We don't need that running the team. If you want that in there as a guy who has worked with quarterbacks and you want his input, that's totally fine. But I think Chris Shula is the guy. I think it'd be great to have Scheelhaase in there as well, young offensive guy as well, who's working with an offensive coach, has worked with Matthew Stafford. I think those are great things to have. And it's definitely encouraging. It's definitely much more than Anthony Weaver. Who wants Anthony Weaver? I'm sorry. I don't. Oh, Anthony Weaver has... He has presence. What does that mean? That he has presence. He has presence. Great. What does he bring to the table? What's he doing schematically? The Dolphins defense wasn't very impressive the last couple years.
No, it wasn't. It was not.
I'm sorry. We don't need that. We don't need retreads of guys. We don't need those things. Brian Flores, There's a reason this guy hasn't got a head coaching job since 2021. He can call a defense. Is he going to get along with the players? Is he going to connect with the players? Is he going to lead a group? I have my doubts. Give me young, give me innovative, give me modern day. I don't need guys who played in the league in the 90s and want to base a team off that. I don't need that. No fans want that. And we don't need Mike McCarthy or somebody in here who has, again, been there, done that. He had a good coaching career, but we don't need Mike McCarthy. Not as a head coach. I'm sorry. The offensive staff, the whole entire coaching staff is being flipped on its head, which is great. This is what fans have wanted. They've wanted an overturn, a change of guard, an overhaul, and it is what this franchise has needed, 100%. And I don't think there's one thing wrong I said.
No, I don't disagree with you. I think you're absolutely right. I'd prefer something fresh and new for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Absolutely.
And I hope they get it.
Absolutely.
I really do.
Yeah.
But
and the Steelers need to embrace that they haven't had a losing season in how many years now? Since 2003, 23 years, 22 years?
Something like that.
Something like that. If they have a losing season next year, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. And the Steelers need to be
it's most likely going to happen. If it's going to happen, yeah. If it's going to happen, it's most likely going to happen next year. I mean,
right.
You know, this isn't a year, you know, that you're looking into it. The quarterback classes coming out of the draft that are going to be available are weak. The free agency in the quarterback room isn't the strongest, and who you can trade for, you know, isn't going to be, you know, anybody outstanding either. And so, you know, you're going to have a big question mark there for a new coaching staff and everything in between. So, yeah, this year is probably going to be the year that it's going to go down. I don't know. There's going to be a lot of the folks that are going to say, "Hey, you know, told you the grass wasn't greener. Should have kept."
It's not about that, dude. It's not about that. It's like what you're saying is right. What I'm saying for those people, if they are saying, "Oh, told you grass isn't greener," well, here's the thing, bud. Tomlin was eventually going to retire or move on.
I don't think that if Tomlin stayed, that the Steelers were going to have a winning record, anyways.
Well, that's the thing. Tomlin could be there until he can't walk, and they would have a losing record at some point. It was bound to happen. Okay.
Yeah.
That was bound to happen. Mike Tomlin stepping down, resigning, moving on, retiring was bound to happen. Now, there's nothing wrong. He spent 20 years here. That's a long time. And he had a great career. Everybody can agree in terms of the issues the last several years, not getting over the hump, not winning a playoff game, lack of player development, quarterback issues. It can go on and on and on. What the fans want, they want something fresh. They want a vision. They want something where there's going to be a long-term future. And Steelers continuously rehashing quarterbacks, quarterback roulette, whatever the case is, it wasn't going to work. It was not going to work. Not against where the league is right now. And if they have a losing season, it can possibly be next season. What they focus needs to be is hitting their coaching staff, which I'm confident in them doing, and build your roster. Build your roster competitively, 100%. They're not going to strip the team clean, but build your roster, make moves that matter, spend money the way that you need to, and whatever happens this year happens. But you can set your future up for 2027. Have a stable roster. Have an offense already implemented. Have playmakers already there, ready to roll. Get your guy in 27, and there you go.
Now, what about for the thought of this, right? So, you know, and we'll take the Steelers out of it. For those that are looking at, because I know that Shula was, I think he was asked to interview for the Browns spot. He turned that down. Like I said, it's most likely going to be Shula. But, you know, the Falcons did that. The Falcons went out, got Raheem Morris, and he brought the Rams passing game coordinator with him, and they both just got canned.
Right.
And so it's not necessarily going to work, but we'll see what happens. I think that the difference is that the Steelers are probably going to give their opportunity with that coach a little bit longer and a little bit more leeway. But transitioning to these upcoming games that are happening, we got 2 games for everything on the line to get to the Super Bowl in Santa Clara, California. Some people say that's where the San Francisco 49ers play. It ain't in San Francisco. The New England Patriots will be taking on the Denver Broncos. They'll be on the road. They are road favorites, 4.5-point favorites. Stidham's going to be starting for the Broncos. Bo Nix is out for the year. You know, a lot of people in Denver are looking at this season and hoping that Stidham can be the next Nick Foles and they can have a a fantasy storyboard ending to the year with a backup quarterback. I don't necessarily think it's going to go down that way. I think the New England Patriots are a very strong team. I think they play very good fundamental football, and in my opinion, I think they're going to cover. I think they're going to win by more than 4.5 points.
Oh, yeah.
What are your thoughts on this game?
I agree. It's unfortunate Bo Nix is out for the rest of the playoffs. It's I don't know. It's something where I want to say that it's not going to be a game, but like there's been so many times this year where I thought games were just not going to be good, and it ended up being an upset. Denver, I'm not saying Denver can't win the game. Denver has a defense good enough, I think, to they have a defense good enough to try to maybe make a play or two and maybe try to lead the way to win the game or set Jarrett Stidham up to try and maybe have an opportunity of some sorts. But it's unlikely. New England clicking on all cylinders. It's probably going to be likely New England ends up winning the AFC and ends up winning the beating Denver. Bo Nix was playing. It definitely, I think, it's a much more different story. But I always thought anyway that an NFC team was going to win the whole thing this year.
I did too. And that brings it up to the NFC matchup. The Seattle Seahawks hosting against the Los Angeles Rams, an NFC West division game for the championship, for the rights to go all the way. These kind of games here with the division, when I pick Survivor League games, like for those that don't know what Survivor League is where you pick one team to win, and that's the only time you can pick them throughout the year. And for instance, I'm part of I cover the Steelers with Fans First Sports Network, FFS, and through SCN, which is Steel Curtain Network. And through Steel Curtain Network, we do a Survivor League where we'll get an autographed piece of memorabilia and we'll give it off to a subscriber, a member, or follower, or listener on the podcast, because they can come from all over the place. We put our stuff everywhere. You can do all those things, and excuse me. What happens is you pick one team every week. Now, once you pick that team, you can't pick them again. See, it's not like you can pick the Steelers or the Chiefs every week. It's if you pick them once, that's it. And if you lose, if the team that you pick to win loses, then you're out. And the person that has successfully picked a winning football team every week at the end and stands alone wins the autographed memorabilia. Now, one of the things that I avoid, and I end up going pretty far most of the time, I usually get pretty close to the end. I haven't won yet, but I get pretty close. But one of the rules I have is I don't pick division games. Because division games can go very much so often either way, because in division games, you have teams that are built to go up against each other. That's why even when you had the Patriots were the powerhouse that they were constantly losing in Miami, or even the Steelers, who constantly lose nowadays without Ben Roethlisberger in Cleveland. Go figure. So with that being said, this game's going to be, in my opinion, this is going to be a very close game. The Seattle Seahawks are favored by 2.5 points, meaning if this was at a neutral site, I think they're saying that the Rams are the better football team here. What are your thoughts on this team, and who do you think is going to win?
Yeah, it's likely to be a good game. This is part 3. The Rams and Seahawks have had 2 bangers this season of games. I think most people were hoping this would have been the NFC Championship game. I'm totally cool with either team winning. I respect both teams. I respect both coaches. I've always have liked different players on each team, so I'm totally cool with whoever wins. Let's just have a good ball game out of it.
Yeah.
So I honestly want to lean the Rams, just again, given McVay, Stafford, Devontae, having those guys. But Seattle has a capable defense Seattle has playmakers as well. Sam Darnold winning. I mean, that would be his first playoff win last week
I believe it was.
of his career. So seeing him get a playoff win, they blew out San Francisco. It's going to be, there's going to be no in between. It's either going to be a very close, low scoring game, or it's going to be a freaking shootout, man. And I'm okay with either one, honestly. So I want to lean the Rams. I think I'm going to lean the Rams, but I kind of hope it's Seattle just so then the Steelers can interview Shula in person. Or I think, you know what? I think regardless after the game, can they interview him in person?
They are going to interview him in person after the game that
Okay,
whole
so
week,
it won't
but they
even
can't.
matter.
They can't announce him as their head coach until after
Right.
the Super Bowl. if he
Right,
ends
but
up-
but regardless what happens, they can interview him in person
right. Yeah,
because
everybody
it's
will be
the Pro Bowl
available.
week. It's the week off.
Right.
Okay. So regardless, then it doesn't even matter. That's what I thought originally. So it doesn't even matter regardless. But so I'm okay either way. Honestly, I just want to see a good ball game.
I do too. And I'm kind of leaning your way too. I wouldn't mind Seattle winning a close one just so that the Steelers can announce their their new head coach if it is Shula. And if not, and they decide that they want to go and interview Clint Kubiak, I wouldn't hate that either. Maybe he blows them out of the water. I think the Steelers not interviewing Kubiak was more of a Kubiak not wanting to be interviewed. I don't think he's taken any interviews while he's doing this whole playoff and Super Bowl run. And so, to me, like I said, if it's Shula for the Steelers, then yeah, I wouldn't mind. But I definitely think, and I'm going to say this now, regardless of who wins, the Patriots or the Broncos, but definitely if it is the Patriots, I'm going to be rooting for the NFC.
I agree.
For the Super Bowl.
I agree. I want to see. I'm okay.
Oh,
with
he
either
was
one.
interviewing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Clint was interviewing for who?
Well, who was he interviewing with? I wasn't aware of that. Oh, we just didn't ask to interview him. Oh man, I wanted him to be the offensive coordinator. I thought he would have done a great job here, with the Steelers.
Yeah.
But they went Arthur Smith.
Yeah,
so.
I know, and that's another thing too. I trust a guy like Chris Shula to put together a strong staff.
I hope
The
so.
Steelers have put together, at best, a D grade coaching staff for years. And it was never you can blame Mike Tomlin for that, but it was never it didn't really seem like a super strong suit for them, because I really do believe that Mike Tomlin wanted to oversee both assets of both sides of the ball. I really do. So it's hard to say how much freedom some of those coaches had. I think Terrell Austin said something like maybe he didn't say this, maybe somebody else kind of said this, but really Terrell Austin has the play sheet, not from him, but from Mike Tomlin, and he just calls them.
So yeah, it's definitely Tomlin's defense, but
yeah,
we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah,
what
but
do you
regardless, you should be excited though.
Oh yeah. Whoever they choose, it'll be amazing.
Yeah.
At least for a little bit until the season starts.
Until the season starts and they win 6 games. But honestly though, like, the team has talent, and they really just need to focus on building the roster. Build the roster. Whoever you have as your quarterback, you can try to aim to be competitive with it. But I think 2027 is your spot.
I hope so. I hope they go for the quarterback position next year. I hope they skip this year. But what do you got going on, Nathan? What do you got going on the rest of this week?
Honestly,
or until we speak again next week.
Until we speak again, well, we're going to see what happens with the playoffs. I think we'll get some more Steeler news with the head coaching gigs as next week, middle of the week, maybe end of next week. We might have a more stronger answer on what's going to happen there. But honestly, really not too much. We're going to see what happens with this winter storm this weekend.
Let's see. Well, guys, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Well, that's going to do it for us. We got, I guess, Seattle and the Patriots in the Super Bowl. We'll see if our predictions come to fruition. Join us next week on Friday. I think we'll do it again Friday for Football Friday. And we'll talk about who won.
Yes.
Hit the like button, subscribe, go check out Nathan's channel. Link is in the description. If you're on Nathan's channel, check out mine, Drunk Turkey Show or DT Show. I'd appreciate it. You guys have a great night.
Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you guys next week.
See y'all later. Peace.